Welcome to the gold grading. This is where we're going to look at new cards in Magic the Gathering. We're going to take cards from the current set and assess them in 5 criteria, ranking 1 to 5. We're going to rank the ability of the card, what it does and when it does, flexibility, what situations we could see this being useful and when, the top deck, how we feel if we top deck this card late in the game with no other cards, how we feel about it being in our opening hand, and finally we'll give it a ranking on the Bring to Light scale. The Bring to Light scale is 1 to 5. 1 is never not hittable. 2 is it's our last resort. 3, it's a win more card. If we're already winning the game or we already have something set up, we could just throw it in. 4 is a signature slash golden bullet, basically like a supreme against a monocolored deck, something that we could pull out to give us an edge. And 5 is first call rivals Niv. Once we have a grade in all 5 of those categories, we'll take an average and assign it a grade based on the score it gets. So 1 will be an F to 5, which will be an A. That's it. Let's get into some new cards. Alright, let's talk about some Evoke Elementals. A little bit of admin before we break it down here. There is going to be some similarities in some scores. There's going to be 2 key similarities, and that's going to be that every one of these elementals is going to have high flexibility, multiple uses for their abilities, and every one of them is going to have a relatively low Bring to Light score for a number of reasons. Some of them are 6 mana, so they're not hittable with Bring to Light, and all of their abilities are contingent on the colors of mana spent to cast them. But Bring to Light specifically exiles, and then we cast without paying the mana cost, so we would not get their ETBs. So they can either literally be a never gonna happen 1 or a last resort 2, depending on what they are. But with that being said, let's jump into our first elemental here. We have Emptiness for Hybrid Orzhov. When it enters, if double white was spent to cast it, we can return a creature of mana value 3 or less to the battlefield. And if double black was spent to cast it, we can put 3 -1/-1 counters on a creature. They all have Evoke, hybrid. So, Emptiness, 3.5 definitely on these abilities. They're pretty flexible. The problem is the white ability is contingent on us having creatures in our graveyard. Black is removal, and removal is never to be scoffed at. And it is technically a permanent debuff, which could be relevant even if you can't kill the creature with the damage. So, yeah, pretty solid overall. For flexibility, it's going to get a high 4 here. It can be used to reanimate, it can be used to remove, we can use it as a body with those abilities in the late game. In the early game, we could throw it out. That is contingent, as with all of these, of us having 2 of the same color mana, which proved pretty difficult on curve. Maybe the mana base needs to be tweaked, but definitely something to consider. Top deck. So if we draw this late game with a full graveyard and we hit this with 6 mana, we're laughing. So I'd say it would be a 4. It is also again contingent on us having the mana, but with the mana bases we have, definitely pretty solid in all. For an opening hand score, I'm going to give it a 3. It's never going to be shunned to give me removal early game in Pioneer, so 100% keeping that. And a Bring to Light score. This converted mana cost of 6 definitely throws this as a Bring to Light score of 1. So our first elemental here is going to get us a C-. Keep in mind, these rankings are just my personal opinion from what I've seen and what I'm going to try. So with that in mind, funny that we said that and move on to our next elemental, Deceit for hybrid Dimir. When this creature enters, if double blue was spent to cast it, return up to 1 target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. And when it enters, if double black was spent to cast it, they reveal their hand, we choose a non-land card, and they discard it. Again, Evoke, hybrid. Deceit is insanely powerful. All these abilities are 100% things we want. I've said for either Tyrant Scorn because it kills a creature or bounces an emergency creature in a death situation. The fact that it hits a non-land permanent means we could bounce anything. The fact that we can double stack it so we can bounce the problematic permanent, then fortseize it from the hand, is really good as well. So all these abilities and the fact it's on a 5/5 body gives Deceit in abilities a solid 5 here. Flexibility as well, I said some of the examples there, it's going to be another 5. This is a 5/5 that can bounce, then Thoughtseize a permanent, that can just come in and give a Thoughtseize on the opponent and reveal their hand. Another key thing, it doesn't specify an opponent controls for the blue ability, so we can literally bounce one of our own ETB creatures. Spoiler alert, I have literally cast this in the testing games, paying double black and double blue, bouncing in a Mizzet to my hand, which is how I found the Deceit, and Thoughtseizing my opponent's hand to take out a key piece of their hand. So another solid 5 definitely. Top deck. This is a 4.5 here. You might be surprised it's not a full 5. Here's the problem. If you top deck this, and it's absolutely great, and you throw it into the battlefield for 6 mana with double black and go for the Thoughtseize, if your opponent has sandbagged a removal spell, because the Thoughtseize is on an ETB, you will still lose the creature, which, you know, which is balanced, but that's why it doesn't get a solid 5 here. If we top deck this and the opponent has removal, it draws out the removal, definitely, but we're still in trouble. With that, then we'll move on to our opening hand, and again, it's another 4.5. An opening hand Thoughtseize in Pioneer is very relevant. An opening bounce spell is very relevant. Again, it's contingent on us having the colors, so definitely, yeah, but 4.5. Unfortunately, though, this is the final category. Our Bring to Light score is a 1. Again, it's a 6 mana creature. Bring to Light's not hittable. ETBs don't trigger. But also, in all, I give Deceit a B+, and I'm actually going to boost that because, like I said, this is definitely one of the strongest elementals in my opinion. Moving on now to Vibrance, the doggy plant. This is free Gruul Hybrid for a 4/4 elemental incarnation. When it enters, if double red was spent, it domes something for free damage to any target, keyword. And if double green was spent to cast it, you may search your library for a land card, reveal it, put it into your hand and gain 2 life. So, abilities, 100% 5 out of 5 here. This is removal, or burn to a face, or damage to a planeswalker. It's also tutor any land out of your deck. It's sort out your color fixing. In the testing decks I made, I threw in literally the World Tree just for Vibrance to find and put it in my hand to give us better mana. It's also incidental little bit of life gain. Again, not very bad. So abilities are 5 out of 5. Flexibility again, I'm going to give this one another 5 out of 5. This is, like I said, it's removal if there's a pesky permanent down. It's ramp if we need to find something. It's a 4/4 body for 5. And I will pay 5 mana to tutor a land out of my deck, gain 2 life, and deal 3 damage to a creature, leaving me with a 4/4 body. Heck yeah. Top deck, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. It's not as insane as some of the other elementals, but definitely will take a dome. Like I said, if it late game, nothing on the hand, draw this. It's a 4/4 body at worst, and it's a 4/4 body that can dome for free and sort you out another land for later. Thin out your deck. Sign me up. Every day, all day, I'll take that. Opening hand, I'm going to give it a 4.25. It's not as relevant to me as having a Thoughtseize on turn 2, but I will take a tutor a land fixing. I mean, you've seen my deck. I run Biotech Specialist because it gets me lander tokens. Obviously, they're a little different. That's 4 mana, but it's over 2 turns. But yeah, I will 100% be using some Vibrances to see. I would definitely use that ability. Fortunately, again, like all the elementals, the Bring to Light value comes and brings it down. But this one is a 2 because it is 5 mana. So in an absolute insane last minute ditch, we could just grab this as a generic 4/4. I would never want to do that, but it is an option, so it does score 2 on the Bring to Light scale. Giving our little elemental Vibrance doggy plant a B overall. I think it's a little weaker than Deceit. Deceit has some more niche cases with the versatility of bouncing any permanent. But yeah, I will definitely say that Vibrance is up there. Stronger than Emptiness, but not as strong as Deceit. Okay, on to Wishfulness. This one, spoiler alert, is Simic, which means it's inherently busted. So, it is. free Simic Hybrid for a 6/5 elemental incarnation with, if it enters and you cast it with double green, you exile an artifact or enchantment and opponent controls. If you cast it with double blue, you draw 2 cards and discard a card. I mean, 5 out of 5 abilities. We are in a format where Corey Steelcutter, Prophesiedelic Memory, what's the other one? Artist Talent, Storm Chaser's Talent. I can list off, that's off the top of my head, 5 problematic artifacts or enchantments that I would love to see go. Also, incidentally, the Witch's Oven, the other talents. So, double green remove something is very relevant if we're in a very bad matchup. Also, double blue to draw 2 and discard a card is a very good rate. So, abilities, 5 out of 5. It's card advantage and selected removal, but very good in its all. Flexibility, again, going to give it a solid. This one's going to get another 5 here because, as I said before, if I have this, I'm looking at my options, I'm like, there's nothing I need to remove an artifact or enchantment, but I will always choose draw and discard. It's also, like I said, a body. I will play 5 mana, draw 2 cards, discard a card, get a 6/5 on the battlefield. Heck yeah, 100%. Top deck ability, again, this is a 5. This is, if I have nothing in hand and 5 mana on my battlefield, and I play this, and all I get out of it is a 6/5 body that draws me 2, and then I discard a card. It replaces itself, gives me a body. Yeah, I would love this as a top deck. Obviously not as much as a Niv or something else, but yeah, I would definitely take it. Opening hand, I'm giving this a 4.75. In the current meta we're in, with all the things I listed off, the Storm Chaser's Talent, the Corey Steelcutters, the Artist's Talent, the Monument to Endurance, all of these things that I would, the minute I see, want to get removed before the opponent can get any value, yeah, I'll take a 2 mana exile effect to get rid of those. And again, in the opening hand, if we're not up against that, if we're up against, say, an Angel deck, I will, and I need to find removal, I will use the double blue again. So I'm happily to keep this in my opening hand. Finally, again, Bring to Light scores low. However, it is one of the elementals, only 2 of them, that fit in the 5 mana category, which means this gets a 2 out of 5. It is a absolute last resort if we just need a 6/5 beater, but we can do it. So Wistfulness, whatever, gets a B+, the highest grade of the elementals so far. And spoiler alert, with our last elemental, going to be the highest overall. Our final one is Catharsis. This is a 4 Boros hybrid for a free 4 elemental incarnation with, when it enters, if we spend double white, we get 2 Kifkin 1/1s, and if we spend double red, we get, all creatures we control get +1/+1 and haste till the end of turn. So, sadly, abilities here, 2.5. The problem with this is it's in a vacuum, it's not very good. The 2 abilities do feed each other, unlike some of the other abilities on the elementals. We make the tokens, then we make them, you know, hasty and +1/+1. The problem with this is 2 mana for 2 1/1s just isn't it. And if we're using the double red to give a haste thing, maybe in a Convoke deck I could see it, but not in a Niv to Light deck. So ultimately, yeah, this is going to be the lowest of the abilities as a 2.5. They're not trash, they're good rate, and they're pretty powerful for what they do, but they're not what we're looking for. Flexibility, I'm going to give this a 3.5. This is something I ummed and ahed about. It is pretty flexible in its thing. If it's early game or mid game and I need a couple of blockers to survive a few more turns, I don't have 6 mana, 2 white, give me 2 more blockers, hopefully by a turn, pretty relevant. If we say throw down a Niv Mizzet and we have 2 extra mana, and I want to just use this to give Niv haste, just get in for 7, take out a problematic Planeswalker, or just Dome for lethal, yeah, it's good, but in a vacuum. It needs other setup. It's not that flexible that it can't do anything on its own, so 3.5 is pretty generous. Top deck. This was an anomaly for me. This was a 5 out of 5. The same as Wishfulness, because if I have nothing on board and it's a top deck war with the opponent, drawing this with the mana to cast it and double trigger its ETBs, this is 8 power instantly on the board and swings in, and 3 bodies. So yeah, I think it's, if you are in that situation, it's insanely powerful. However, the reverse of the coin, if it's in your opening hand, this is kind of a 2 out of 5 for me. I mean, 2 mana make 2 1/1s is not where we want to be at the current power level of Pioneer. And yeah, I don't think it really does it. And the haste ability in your opening hand is pointless, because if you're going to cast it on curve on 2, what are you going to give haste to? A 1/1 that's already doesn't need you to give haste? So it is what it is. And sadly, ultimately, the Bring to Light scale is also a 1, because this is a 6 CMC creature that we can't get with Bring to Light. So that leaves us with a disappointing end here, with a D+ in the overall elementals. So how did these elementals stack up? They were fun to play. They are definitely skew your mana base if you want to have them on curve and cast them reliably for their colors. Of the 5 of them, I definitely see an argument in a Niv to Light deck to maybe run Deceit, Vibrance, and Wishfulness. I don't think we'd get them as a full playset of. The busted nature of the Evoke elementals used to be that they were free spells. These are fair costed spells that are 2 mana. I definitely could see, if I was to rank them, if you were going to craft one for a Niv deck to try out, I would honestly rank it as the grades have gone. So I would say Wishfulness is number 1, followed by Deceit, followed by Vibrance. And that's about it. Yeah, 3 of the 5 passed the grade, so pretty good rate for the Elemental Evoke cycle. Let me know what you think of them.